Um, First off, if you wouldn't mind typing your first and last name into the chat for me, just in case I can't fully catch who you are from what your computer says, because the Zoom will catch all the names that are attached to the computers. But in case there's duplicates or anything like that of first names or anything like that, it would help me to know for sure who is here tonight, so that I can, make sure I've seen everybody that I should see this week. I would appreciate that very much. That's just, a little housekeeping thing. Um, to start out with, welcome. I'm so glad that you've decided to join us this semester. We have a lot to cover, but I hope I've organized it in such a fashion that it won't be too onerous for you and it will all sort of flow naturally throughout the course of this semester. I will tell you, I did a lot of reworking on this course, because I taught CIT 12s in the spring. So I hadn't done a 15 since last fall, and I thought, well, a good opportunity, especially since we have a new edition of the textbook, to sort of revisit things and reorganize and see what things are working and maybe what things can be tossed. And there were a few things. Oh, there's another buddy. There were a few things that I tossed, and a few things that I added in. I've got a little bit more emphasis on discussions this semester, which I hope will not be. I know a lot of students say, "Oh, discussions," but the topics. I mean, I borrowed some from other instructors, some that I'm reusing from my old classes, and some are new. New, excuse me. Um, I'm hoping you will find them stimulating, relevant, and interesting. So hopefully we'll enjoy participating in those. But I'd like to take you through the syllabus, make sure everybody knows where to find it in Canvas and what are the important things there, how turning in assignments and stuff like that is going to work, how due dates and late work and everything like that happens, and just give you a broad idea of how all of this is going to work. So let me share my screen and move over to Canvas, and that's going to be on that one, and switch over to Canvas. All right. So I see that you are screen sharing. Could everybody give me a thumbs up if you see the red CIT 15 there? Do you see it? Yes, okay. All right, so this is your home page for this week, and this will change every week to reflect what's going on in the new week. I have one for every week of the course. This one obviously has some introductory stuff. There's a video here. It has some adult language in it, so it's totally optional if you don't care to watch that. But you may find it interesting if that sort of thing doesn't bother you any. There is a link to the syllabus here. And then there's some other instructions that will need to be followed during this week. But let's just go to the syllabus and see what all is there. So again, we start with the CIT 15 at the top, and it's so nice not to have to worry about printing things out and handing out copies and people losing them and saying, can I have another copy of the syllabus? Because it's all here. It's always going to be here. You can check this anytime to see what all is going here. And it starts out with, the minimal information about me. My name, Sarah Jones. The fact that I have no office because I'm adjunct. So all my office hours are held on Zoom. Or, back in the days when I was in the classroom, I would, stay after class some days and, have office hours for students that needed help. But, we'll talk about that in a second. My email address is there. A few of you have already contacted me via that. But really the best way to contact me is through the Canvas inbox communication device there. I check that during the semester several times a day. This room that I'm sitting in right now, where my computer is also where I do most of my other work during the day. So I'm in here a lot, and it's very easy for me to check that. The email I check at least several times a day during the first couple weeks of the semester, but then that sort of tapers off as people get used to contacting me more through Canvas. And I like having you all contact me through Canvas because that way it's much more attached to the class. So if I'm ever looking for, oh, wait a second, I know so and so contact me with a question about that, it's a little bit easier for me to find it. If it's been a couple days and, I'm trying to remember to get back and, give somebody some more information about that, it's easier for me to find it if it's in Canvas. I did include the business division office phone number, just in case you need to contact them for some reason. If you have a problem that you don't think I can help you with, and let's face it, there's probably lots of things not related to the class, but related to stuff on campus that I might not be able to help you with. So that's a useful number to have. My office hours, of course, on Zoom. Um, After this week, office hours will be Mondays at 7:30 in the evening, Wednesdays at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But since I'm here at home a lot of the time, I am totally open to making appointments for other times if those don't work out for you and you really would like some help that week. Um, you will find in each week's homepage a link to my personal Zoom room. So it won't be a pre-appointed meeting because my personal Zoom room is actually better for this sort of thing. So feel free to contact me via the inbox if you'd like to make an appointment other than showing up for one of those office hours. I'm always glad to find a time that will work out for both of us. Okay. There's some information about the course itself, description of the course, section number, our time frame from today through December 9th. Again, the office hours listed there and the fact that we're all online. Other important dates regarding holidays on campus and specific dates regarding class dynamics, such as your last day to drop a full term class and be eligible for a fee refund, last day to drop, last day to avoid a W, last day to drop letter grades assigned after that, when finals begin, all that sort of important stuff. All of this is in the course catalog, of course, but it's always nice to know it's here too, because you can probably get to it a little bit faster than you could the course catalog if you're in any doubt as to what some of those deadlines are. So useful information to know. Next, we get into some specific things for us. The course text and materials. The picture there is actually the 16th edition. We're on 17 now. When I get a chance, I'll replace that. But you will need a MyLab, well, it's MyLab IT now, but for years it was My IT Lab, so I tend to say both of them interchangeably. You will need an access code. Now, if you get financial aid for your courses, or for books and stuff like that. And by the way, if you didn't know it already, we got some funding for students to get some bucks to spend in the bookstore. It says it's for texts, so I'm not sure if you can use it for things other than textbooks, but apparently full-time students get $250 and part-time students get $100, which is, nothing to be sneezed at. But anyway, if you're getting financial aid for your school books and supplies, then you kind of need to buy your access code through the bookstore, which kind of irks me because they charge more for it than if you buy it online. You can purchase the license for MyLab directly when you enroll in the class and create your account. It's $79. You can also get a free 14-day trial if that $79 needs to wait until your next paycheck or something. We've all been there. but you do need to have that account fully activated and paid for. What did I say here? There. Is all you need for the class. Oh, I think there's a thing in week 1 about what the deadline is for getting that. But definitely you need to at least have the free trial before the end of this week, because you do have an assignment for this week that needs MyLab to be done. What you're going to find in there is a whole bunch of stuff. First off, your textbook. It's an e-textbook, and you get to it through MyLab. Now, if you are absolutely set on having a physical copy of the textbook, you can order what they call the upgrade. It's $25, and you get a 3-hole punch stack of sheets of the textbook, which you have to provide your own binder for. So far, I haven't had anybody do it, but who knows? One of you might be the first. It's there if you want to order it. But I personally like e-textbooks. I think they're great. So you get that. You also get the MyLab simulations that we use to teach applications. Okay? So there's some for, there's one for Windows. There are ones for PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and Access. And these are all, required for the course. The simulations are not compatible with tablets or smartphones. So you have to have a laptop of some sort or a desktop computer, obviously, in order to be able to successfully do those. Now, if you're a Mac person, you may run into some keyboard difficulties, but you'll find that within the simulation, there is a virtual keyboard that you can pop up that will give you the Windows keys that the Mac doesn't have. So if you're ever, if you are a Mac person and you're doing one of those simulations, you're like, wait, I don't have that key. Remember that. Simulated keyboard, just pop it up and that will solve your problem. Always, of course, if you have a question about your device compatibility, don't hesitate to ask. Your code for the course that you need is here, Fresno City College 23421. So you'll need that and your email address in order to get a Pearson account if you don't already have one and enroll in the class. Again, you can do the 14-day free trial, or you can get an access code from the bookstore, or you can purchase the license directly during the process of enrolling in the class. They will take a debit or credit card or PayPal, which they didn't used to do. PayPal is a nice addition. So anyway, so that's the big thing that you need besides Canvas, which everybody has as students. You have Canvas, and we'll be doing a lot in Canvas as well. Student learning outcomes, these are straight out of the CurricuNet requirements for the class. At the end of this course, you'll be able to use a word processing program, use a spreadsheet program, use a relational database, use a visual programming environment to create and code a program. Yeah, we get to do that too. And demonstrate fluency with computer concepts. So those first 3, you demonstrate competency with in MyLab, because there's a test that you do. Those use the actual software. You get your instructions in your files from MyLab, you use the actual Microsoft Office 2019, and then you upload your results back to MyLab. Now, the 2019 is free. There's a video that shows you how to get it if you don't already have it. If you already have a copy of like Office 2016, it's probably sufficient, but if you want to upgrade with 2019, it's free for you as a student at City College. Okay? Also, before I forget, your final exam is in MyLab. So you just can't get through this class without that account. Okay. The visual programming, we have an online assignment for that using an online programming facility. And then number 5, the demonstrate fluency with computer concepts. That's getting a passing grade on the final exam. Now, you don't necessarily have to get a passing grade on the final in order to pass this class. don't get me wrong. Um, it's all weighted, you know, the final is a reasonable portion of your grade. We'll look at, you know, exactly what counts towards what in a few minutes. But plenty of people have passed this class that didn't, or, you know, just barely passed the final. So don't get yourself too freaked out about that. We have an advisory eligibility for English 125 and 126, or English 153, or ESL 67 and 68. Basically, what that means is that if English is not your first language and you struggle a little bit with it, you may struggle a little bit with this class. Now, we'll be glad to provide all the help we possibly can to make sure that you are able to succeed. You know, all you have to do is ask for assistance, and, you know, we will do whatever we possibly can. Okay. Canvas, again, you need Canvas. If you don't already, you aren't already in Canvas, there's some instructions about that. Hopefully most of you have already gotten into Canvas and are familiar with how everything works there. So let's talk about the thing everybody is concerned about, grading. The maximum score is 100%. It's divided up into categories which are weighted. So everything's worth some points, but then within those categories, all the points go into that category, and that category is a certain percentage of your grade. Discussions are 20% of your course grade. Okay? In the discussions, it's not just posting a response to the discussion itself, it's responding to somebody else's post with, oh, hey, I didn't know that, or that's a very good point, or I'm interested to learn that about you, something like that. You know, it doesn't have to be a giant dissertation. You know, a couple of sentences is entirely adequate. I would expect your original posts in response to the prompts will be somewhat more than that, you know, depending on what questions are asked in the prompt. But, you know, responses just have to be polite and, you know, actually relevant to what somebody said. Simply, I agree is not necessarily enough. But I think you guys can probably figure that out. Actually, while I'm getting started talking about grade stuff, let's talk about how the assignments work. Everything is there now. Okay? You can get started and work ahead in a lot of things if you want to. Now, because I reworked a lot of this stuff, right now I only have the first 6 weeks live, but I'm already well into the next couple weeks. I just haven't published them yet, and it should all be up and available within the next 2 weeks easily, I would think. But as we go through each week, certain assignments become, how would I say, assigned. Okay. So this week, certain things are assigned. Next week, additional things are assigned that, even though they were available to you, were not yet assigned. Once something is assigned, you have 2 weeks to get it in for full points. You have an additional 2 weeks to get it in for increasingly diminishing points, although the maximum penalty, it's like 2% per day. So you obviously could still get a C on it as long as you got it in before that deadline. After that deadline, the assignment will no longer be available. It disappears. You might be able to see it, but you couldn't get into it. Okay? Does that make sense? Right? So 4 weeks total. The first 2 weeks are at full points. Okay? And again, the points taper off very gradually for the next 2 weeks. So hopefully you should find that plenty of time to get everything done. Okay? So you particularly want to stay on top of those discussions. Obviously, the first couple of days, only a few people have participated, so there's not much to respond to. So, you know, you can do your posting and then come back a few days later, see what other people have posted, and then respond. You don't have to do an original posting and respond on the same day, because if you're the first person, how could you? Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. The next category is quizzes. There's one for every chapter of the book, and there are 13 chapters in the book. So obviously, a few of these weeks, we will not have a new chapter. We have, boom, 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 right at first, then you get a little break, then boom, 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 then a little break. Yeah. I tried to spread it out, but, there's a lot to cover. And, I can only take a couple of weeks off and then leave finals week open. So anyway, the quizzes, try not to think of them as a test, even though it's called a quiz. It's really more of a learning exercise. Because they're online, they're open book, so open your textbook in MyLab on one side of the screen and the quiz and Canvas on the other. Read the question, look at the chapter, use the search function, find where it talks about that, answer the question. Is that cheating? No, because it's not a test. It's learning. And finding the answer to a question is learning. You can do those quizzes as many times as you want until you're happy with your grade during the time that that quiz is available. Now, if you do the quiz during that first 2 weeks when you get full points and you get whatever score, and then just for funsies sake, you do it after the 2 weeks while it's still available and you get a lower score, what will I see? I will see the highest score. Okay. It's all set to show me your highest score achieved on every assignment, because obviously I want you to get the most points you possibly can, because everybody likes points, right? When I was in college, I was a grade grubber of the highest order, so I totally understand that. I'll tell you a story about that one time. Well, another time. Yeah. Again, the quizzes do disappear after that 4 weeks, so you want to make sure that you get them done before they are no longer available. The simulation exams well, it says trainings there, they're called exams, in MyLab. Okay? Most weeks will have one because we have a number of them to get through. Sometimes you'll have one of those and you'll have one of the applications tests. I tried not to double things up more than I absolutely had to, but there's a lot of them. Some of them are very short. Some of them are a little longer. You can do them anywhere that you have internet access because it's all internet based. You can use any notes. There's actually an applications book in MyLab that you can use, and you can access that directly through the exams themselves. There's a little thing called learning aids that you can click on and read about the thing that it's asking to do. So they can be repeated. I recommend that you do them in order and that you try to get them done in the week that they're scheduled. Again, they do disappear at the end of that 4 weeks, and at the end of the first 2 weeks, they have diminishing returns. But you should have plenty of time to get everything done. Yeah, we have 1 or 2 labs. So yeah, the only one that's not a simulation in my lab is the programming. And I believe that's JavaScript this year, so I probably need to correct that. The lab tests, those are the things that you get your instructions from MyLab, do it in the actual software, and then upload it back to MyLab. Those are 15% of your course grade. We consider those to be the applications portion of your final exam, but we spread it out throughout the semester because it just makes sense to do the exam on something when you've just done all the work on that thing and it's still fresh in your mind, right? Yeah. So those will pop up as you finish each application. And of course, there's absolutely nothing to stop you bouncing around, except for the fact that only the first 6 weeks are published right now. But once everything else is there, you can, of course, bounce if you feel like it. I'm not going to stop you, but I don't recommend it. And then the final exam, that's text-based. So the quizzes are there to prepare you for that. Also in MyLab, in the same place where you find your textbook, you will also find a set of text PowerPoints. So there is a PowerPoint presentation that goes, it's basically a summary of everything in that chapter. So I would definitely want to take a look at those, say in the week preceding finals week, as a way to review. You might even, well, you won't be able to go back and do the earlier quizzes, but you can always, do the ones that are still available online. The final exam is 10% of your course grade. So if you add that to the lab tests, you see that the applications and the text portion of your final exam total 25% of your grade, which is pretty much in line with state guidelines for final exams in a community college situation. Oh, and before I forget, in the discussions group, part of your points there come from checking in for attendance every week. So yeah, I mean, it's just very minor points, but what the heck, a point is a point. Standard grading scale to get an A, here we go. You need 90% or better. B is 80 to 89.9%. C is 70 to 79.9. D is 60 to 69.9. And F is anything under that. We don't like to talk about that. Late work policy, again, after that first 2 weeks, we have diminishing returns. And at the end of the 4 weeks, it disappears. Hopefully that will inspire you to stay on pace with everything and not get behind, because once you allow yourself to get behind, it gets very, very difficult to get caught up. Yeah. Weeks for purposes of assignments and the weeks that they're available begin at 1 minute after midnight on Monday mornings and end at 11:59 on Sunday nights. That's just the way I like to work. Other instructors work differently, but that's the way I do my weeks. I generally grade on Monday mornings. So if you want to come to office hours on Monday evening because you have a question about something, you should have seen everything that you did graded by that point. Now, sometimes I'll pop in and grade stuff that's on Canvas midweek just because I had some free time and I felt like it. But I usually only transfer grades from my lab into Canvas once a week, unless I get a specific request from a student. Either they need a grade report for something like athletics or something like that, and they want the most up-to-date grade, which is fine. I totally understand. All you have to do is ask, and I'm glad to update it for that. But usually I just transfer them over once a week. But I do transfer them over so you can see all of your grades in Canvas. Okay? You don't have to look at what you've got in Canvas, then go over and look at what you've got in my lab and think, okay, I've got this many points here, I've got that many points there, and this one is worth 20% of that, and that one's worth, that's just confusing. So if I put it all in Canvas, that makes it much easier for you. And it also makes it much easier for me to gauge everybody's progress, and then of course, to do final grades at the end of the semester. Okay? Hopefully that all makes sense. By the way, feel free to interrupt me if you have a question about something. I'm happy to stop and, yes, Stephen.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm getting this. I'm getting a little bit confused.
Well, that's what we're here for, so ask away.
Okay, so from my understanding, I'm just like looking at the modules and I see, like, for instance, next week there's I believe some kind of PowerPoint lab,
Yes,
but then also in my labs there's the same one and it has the same due date.
it's
So
the same thing.
it's the same thing. So if I access it through Canvas, does it complete it in my lab or do I have to do both?
If you click on the link in Canvas, it simply takes you to my IT lab.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about like doing
No,
two different
no.
ones.
We're going to look at the module for week 1 just to make sure everybody understands how that works. So I'm glad you asked, but yeah, we're going to look at that specifically as soon as we get done covering all of our housekeeping stuff here. Okay?
Okay,
Is
and
there another
then
question?
Yeah, just one more. And then you said you mentioned there was other tests inside the my lab, or I forget what it's called. I think that's what it's called.
My lab
Um
IT, yeah.
yeah. So is from what I'm seeing, are those the, like you click on PowerPoint and there's those, is that the lab exams, or is that the tests that you're
When
referring?
when you're looking at my lab and you see the folders, the one that says Windows and then PowerPoint and then Word, Excel, Access, and then there's a folder that says exams. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to find the application exams in that folder. Okay? Your final exam is also there. It will not be available yet, but the applications exams are there and they are available. They will disappear at the end of their 4-week allotted time, but they are available now.
Okay. And I think they're called like office hands-on tests or something like
Yes,
that.
hands-on
Okay.
tests. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. That's all my questions. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right. Again, we're going to go through at least module 1 just to, see an example of how all this works here, at least in Canvas. But I do need to cover some more general housekeeping chores here in the syllabus. Drop policy. Anybody who does nothing the first week can be dropped. That counts as being a no-show. And they were really ragging on us at our faculty meeting about dropping no-shows so they don't still linger at the end of the semester, and then we need to give them a grade, and then they come back and say, how do I got an F in this class when I never even went to it? And, yeah. Anyway, so you have to, oh, here's where I put it. I knew I had it someplace. I really want everybody to have at least the free trial of my lab this week. But you'll see here in drop policy, you must purchase the account. It has to be fully activated by the end of week 3. Now, if you get it at the beginning of this week, that 14 days is going to be up before then. You will probably still be able to access the account and fully activate it by giving them a code or paying for it. After that, it becomes increasingly difficult, and we wind up having to spend hours on the phone with technical support. So if you don't have that fully activated by the end of week 3, that is reasonable grounds for being dropped, because it is absolutely impossible to succeed in this class without having that account. Okay? Behavior policy and cheating policy, district computer use policy, those are general purpose ones that we stick in all of our syllabi. A lot of them don't really apply to you. Because you're not in the classroom. I mean, certainly we want everybody to be polite to one another when we're together on a Zoom call. Obviously, in discussion posts, it's important to be civil and to respect other people's opinions, even if you disagree with them. And it's perfectly possible to disagree politely. I wish somebody would tell that to my children sometime, but that's beside the point. Um, the only thing that applies here as far as the cheating policy has to do with those application exams, those hands-on tests. Those are coded to the name of the person whose account they are downloaded from. So if you have a friend in this class or a friend in another CIT 15 class, and they've already done that assignment and they want to just give you your file, or their file for you to submit. Yeah, I got that. They want to just give you their file for you to submit as being your exam. We will know, because it will come through with the wrong name in the coding behind the file. And it will alert me that that was not your file that you submitted. And quite frankly, it's just not that hard to do them. So there's very little point in attempting to cheat in that. But it has happened in the past. Although not with any of my online students. I've never had an online student do that. I've had students in the classroom try to help each other by giving them their files. And yeah, it's not worth it. Any students with disabilities? I've gotten paperwork from a few already. Just remember that we're happy to make accommodations, but you do have to go through Disabled Student Services to verify the need for accommodations. And then they send me the paperwork to get whatever needs to happen done for you. Happy to do it. Meeting with me, again, if you can't make it to my regular office hours, just give me a buzz through the inbox and I will be happy to set up a time that works for both of us so that we can talk about whatever you need help with, whatever questions you have. Below the written portion of the syllabus is basically a calendar summary of when everything is due, which is very useful. I mean, you'll see it all in the home pages and in the modules, but you might find it useful to come here and see exactly where everything is. These first three things are just the Zoom meetings that I set up ahead of time, so you don't need to worry about those since you're already here. But everything else is there, and of course, you can always access the calendar in Canvas for this course. That should have all the due dates for everything there as well. So let's take a look at our modules, because that's a little bit more streamlined than the home page. Okay, so that's week 7. That was the one I was working on earlier. So there's a module for each week that, as I say, it's pretty streamlined. It just gives you the nitty-gritty about everything that is assigned beginning this week. It has links to pages. There's not quite as much visually going on as the home page, so you might want to approach it from the home page point of view. We'll look at that in a second. At the top is always course content. So pages that have videos that you could watch, like there's one there on how to register for my IT lab. Here's one on how to download Office for free because you're an FCC student. There's an instruction to read chapter 1. And then there's a resource video that you can watch that talks about computer science and change. The key things here are the graded assignments, and those are separated so that you know specifically what is happening this week that I need to do for a grade. The first thing that you need to do each week is check in for attendance. Now, this is in the form of a quiz. It's a very silly quiz. It's a true-false statement, and the statement is, I'm here. The answer is true. False was funny once, many, many semesters ago. Although if you do answer false, you get a 0 instead of a, you didn't take it, which tells me that you actually were here. These are only available during the pertinent week because it's attendance. So there's no grace period on those. You have to check in that week. So be sure and do that check-in. It just gives me something to report at the end of the semester when I turn in my rosters and my attendance, so that I know people were here. Because, maybe you didn't need help with anything this week, so you didn't come to office hours, and you're just cruising along happily. That's great. Terrific. Or maybe you got your questions answered via a message. That's terrific too. And of course, I'm always happy to answer questions in written form. That's delightful. But please do remember to check in. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, I know it's silly, but it helps me to keep track. Here's our discussion for the week. You can see the little discussion icon there. Basically, this week we're keeping it simple. Just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you. There's some questions about, are you an Android or an Apple person? What are your educational goals? And you can include anything else that you care to share. We're not looking to get too personal, so you don't have to give us, really deep down information. You can keep it light, but if there's, something interesting about yourself that you'd like to share, we're happy to know that. So that's our discussion for this week. There's the chapter 1 quiz. And the Windows Lab 1, that's let me just click on these so you can see what happens. So Here's week 1 attendance. Click on it. It goes to the quiz. Okay. This is not student view. Actually, let me go back and change to student view so you can see it the way it will look. Can I get to student view? Yeah, there we go. Student view. Okay, do y'all still see that? Yes? Okay, good. All right, so oh, it's showing all the modules there. Okay, so all the published ones. Okay, so week 1 attendance. Take the quiz. That's all you have to do. Very simple. And it's just the one silly true false thing. Introductions. There's the discussion. Read the stuff that we're asking you about, and then hit reply to do your original posting. Once you've posted, you'll be able to see other people's responses, and you can then respond back to somebody else. Okay. The chapter 1 quiz. Okay. Take the quiz. 20 multiple choice questions taken from a pool of questions. There's no time limit. You can use whatever resources you want to find the answers to that quiz, preferably the book, since the questions are all from the book. You have unlimited attempts during the time that this is available. Notice that it's available from today until September 4th. Okay? It's due August 21st. So after August 21st, the points start diminishing. Okay? Again, unlimited attempts. I will see your highest score and only your highest score. I actually do see how many attempts you did, but I never really pay attention to that, and I don't care either. So yeah, so there's your quiz for chapter 1. And then the last thing is the Windows lab, which comes from my IT lab. Again, it just explains this is a simulated lab taken in the My IT lab environment. You can save your progress at any time while doing the lab, and you can take the lab as many times as you like until you receive the grade you want. I'm pretty sure there's unlimited. There's at least 3. That should be enough. If you can't get a decent grade by that, let me know, and I will reset them so I can add more attempts. That's probably a hangover from a previous semester. And that you click on that link, it just takes you directly to my IT lab. So, it just opens that up and you sign into your account and go on about your merry business. So that's the week 1 module. Now let's look at the week 1 homepage, which has a little bit more going on. At least in week 1, there's a lot more going on because there's some introductory stuff. There's this video that you can watch or not watch. There's a reminder to review the syllabus. There's the video on how to register with my IT lab. I think, okay, there's the lecture. Oh, there was a lecture. Was there in week 1? Was there? What happened to the link to that? Oh, I gotta fix that. Gotta fix that as soon as we get done here. Make myself a note. Link to lecture 1. Okay, do that. Okay, back to the homepage. So there's the sign up for it. There's the how to get in, check in for attendance, read the book, lecture on change, Windows 10 lab. Here it is. Okay. So here's the instruction for the Windows 10 lab. Again, link to my IT lab. And I'm not sure why it says that when it's right there. There is a demonstration video on how to navigate my IT lab. So it shows you getting into my IT lab, how to access your textbook, then how to open up the simulations and what tools are there within the simulations to help you out. Okay. And if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask. If you get into that this week and you have a question and you want to show up for one of my first week sessions Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening, even though you've already been here, that's totally fine. Or just send me a message in Canvas. That's fine too. So all of that is available to you. As I say, the home pages you'll find are a little bit more visual than the modules. The modules just take you to links to things, but everything should be there.
What if you have, sorry, excuse me. What if
No,
you have Windows 11?
you should be fine, because it's a simulation.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, but I decided to upgrade for some reason, and I just did not like it. I wish I was still on Windows 10, but yeah.
Does anybody remember Windows 8?
Oh man.
Oh my God, what a disaster that was. Yeah, everybody was downgrading back to 7. Oh, I think it was terrible.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, don't worry about what version of Windows you have, as long as you have something like 9 or above for getting around and doing things. But the MyLab one, it's totally a simulation, so it doesn't matter what you have.
Cool.
It's just a simulation. It's not hooked into anything real. And that's the biggest question that students have when they start doing those is, I clicked on the print button just like it said in the exercise and nothing came out of my printer. And I'm like, yeah, that's because the simulation doesn't know your printer. Okay, I think that's everything that you'll need to get started. Does anybody have any questions or anything that you'd like to see again?
Mic on.
I'm probably just gonna have to go through the things I really want to ask and then ask them, I guess, in through email or directly by calling you, I guess.
Send me a message via Canvas. That's, as I say, that's better,
Okay.
than using the SCCCD email. Or if you want to set up a Zoom meeting, that's fine too. I'm pretty open this week. I don't have a whole lot going on, so I'm delighted to set up private meetings if that works for you.
Super sweet. Thank you.
Raise
I
the
had
hand,
a
Stevio.
question.
Yes.
For the labs part, you already made a video of how to put it on Canvas, right?
I'm sorry. A video of what?
To get labs on the computer.
There's a video that shows you how to sign up for the MyLab account, and then another video that shows you, once you've got the account, how to use all the resources that are there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just making sure.
Again, those are all here in the week 1 homepage. So you should have no problem looking at those. And again, if you still have questions once you've watched those, don't hesitate to ask. Stevio, you had a question again? Yes, because I see your hand
Yeah.
raised.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know
I
how
love
to.
that little hand raised icon.
Okay, so just want to double check to make sure I got this. So anything that's posted in the modules or on the homepage itself, that's what's going to need to be done. There's nothing in like my labs or my IT lab that like I'm just going to have to be on top of to remember to also complete. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Let me paraphrase. You're saying, I go to my IT lab and I see all this stuff, and I don't necessarily know which things I have to do or which things I have to just look at or something like that. Does Canvas tell me exactly what I need to do for a grade? And the answer is yes. Okay. In the modules, each week when you look at it, you're going to see exactly what has to be done for your grade. Okay. If it's in my IT lab like this one, it will include a link to take you to my IT lab so that you can do it. This quiz, that's here in Canvas. It takes you to that quiz. The discussion, it takes you to that. Attendance, it takes you to that. When it comes time for additional things like those hands-on tests, there will be a link that takes you again to my IT lab to get those done. And there will be a further video showing you how to do those tests, because they do work a little bit differently, well, a lot differently than the simulations. That one's not available to you yet, but you're a long way from getting to that point.
Okay, I just want to double check because I mean, when you look at the setup with my IT lab, I mean, there is a lot of things, so it's like
Yeah.
it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I just wanted to make sure I'm like I don't have
Yeah.
to like double check weekly in there that there's something that wouldn't be on the module.
Yeah, basically on when you get into my lab and you look at that menu on the left side, the only thing you need to worry about is the thing that says course materials. That's it. Everything is under course materials.
Okay,
Because that
perfect.
opens up that thing with the folders. The one at the top also says course materials, but that's where you get your textbook. That's where those PowerPoints are. You know, if you want to use those to review for the final, which I strongly recommend. And then there's below the course materials one, there's the folders for each application and the exams. Okay, but everything you need is under course materials. There is one that says grades, where you can go and see all of the things that you have done up to that point, but you can probably see that, you know, just as easily in Canvas.
Okay, perfect. That was really it. I just want to make sure I'm like crystal clear on that because, like I said, when you first go into it, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But
Yeah,
it's, I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
that
And
explains
again,
really well.
never hesitate to contact me if you're in any doubt about anything, because that's what I'm here for. And, you know, as adjunct faculty, right now, I only have this class. I have another CIT 15 starting on October 10th, which is going to be gruesome because they've got to get through everything you guys do in 18 weeks in 9 weeks. But that's more gruesome on their part than on mine, except keeping up with the grading. You know, I'm happy to take whatever time needs to be taken to make sure that you guys all are comfortable with what it is you need to be doing and when. So never hesitate to ask. Now,
Perfect.
let me get out of student view because that's annoying. Leave student view and come back to gallery here. Now, is there anything else that I can do for you or tell you about before I let you guys go for the evening? We're all good?
I have one question though.
Oh, yes, Joaquin.
Since you're recording this meeting, are you just gonna upload this one? Because I know you have 2 more during the week. So you're just gonna like upload this sole one, or are you gonna record the other 2 and upload those as well?
I am recording this meeting. I did not actually really intend to upload them for any purpose. Was there
Ah,
a reason
okay.
you wanted to see the recording?
Oh no, it's just some teachers like record the meeting and like upload it for like any information they needed during the meeting. They could rewatch the playback and all that.
Yeah, except that, you know, everything we've covered is pretty much in the syllabus.
Okay,
I
I was
mean,
just curious
I
about
could
that.
make one available just for posterity's sake, I guess.
That would be awesome.
Okay, I can do that. Obviously, it is recording, so I will post one. Let's see, where shall I put it? I guess I'll just put it in the week 1 homepage, and you can always get to the homepages, I think. Yeah.
All right then.
Oh, no, I'll put it in the week 1 module. I know you guys can get to that always.
Yeah,
So
they like put in the modules.
yeah,
Be
I'll
good.
put it in the course content for the week 1 module. I have to see what I can do as far as. Yeah. I'll put it in the module.
Right.
That way it will be there for reference.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah. As I say, anything that will help and, you know, I can easily accommodate, I have no problem doing. Well,
Now that
that
I
wasn't
think
too
about it,
bad. We managed to get through everything in an hour. I'm proud of me. Yeah. Yes.
sorry, I just want to make sure. Do we have weekly Zooms, or is this just going to be the only one?
This is the only one that I really need everybody to show up for, is one this week. As I said back at the beginning, but so, you know, let me remind you, from week 2 on, I will be on my personal Zoom room, and there will be a link to it in every week's homepage, and I believe in every module as well. My personal Zoom room will be open every Monday evening and Wednesday afternoon, but you are not required to show up. It's basically office hours where you can pop in, ask questions, get help. If you want to get help with something, I do ask that you use whatever device you are working on to join the Zoom room so that you can share your screen and I can see what's going on that is not working for you for some reason, so that I can be of more help that way. Because trying to turn your machine around so that I can see it through your phone doesn't work.
Got it. Thank you.
So is that clear? This is the only week that you really got to show up for a Zoom. After that, I'm delighted to see you, but it's not required. Okay. Thank you all for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. And I hope I will see you again throughout the semester. But I look forward to seeing your contributions to the discussions and the work that you do. And again, never hesitate to contact me if I can be of any help at all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.